So at the start of the 2025 season, I asked you guys who would actually win the slams for this year on both the men and women's side. I also did my predictions as well. Let's go see how close we got for the Grand Slam prediction for this year. So starting with the Australian Open, which is only a month away, or less than a month away. On the women's side, you guys went with Sabalenka to go 3 in a row. She's obviously won the last 2, and also number 1 in the world. And I've also gone with Sabalenka to win the 3rd in a row at the Australian Open. On the men's side, you've gone Jannik Sinner for the Australian Open to go back-to-back. And I've also gone Jannik Sinner to go back-to-back in Australia. So there we were not too bad. We weren't too bad for the first one. Of course, Sinner did win the Australian Open. Didn't really look troubled at the Australian Open this year at all. Pretty much got through without many scratches. And Sabalenka made the final and then lost to Keys, who had an amazing run. So pretty good there. We'll go 1 out of 2. Heading over to Roland Garros now, the second slam of the year. And you guys have picked Iga Swiatek to go 4 in a row at Roland Garros. She's won 4 of the last 5. So a really decent pick there. And I've also gone Iga Swiatek. I mean, she's undefeated there for so long. On the men's side of things, you guys are going with Alcaraz to go back-to-back at Roland Garros. He just won the final and also the semi-final last year at this event. So, Sinner and Zverev obviously going to be big favorites as well. But I also picked Alcaraz to go back-to-back. All right, so again, we went Swiatek and we both went for Alcaraz. And Alcaraz, of course, won the French Open, just won the French Open. And Swiatek made the semis, lost to Sabalenka. Of course, Coco Gauff won the French Open. I don't think many people would have picked Gauff to win the French. Maybe after the couple of tournaments before the French Open when she was starting to play really well in the clay. But at the start of this year, I don't think anyone would have picked Coco to win the French Open. All right, now to Wimbledon for the women. And this is always a very tough one because over the years, it has not been consistent. Pretty much since Serena retired, Wimbledon's been up in the air and anyone can win it. You guys have gone with Rybakina to win this one. Of course, a former champion and also made the semifinals last year. So not a bad pick at all. I've gone with Sabalenka, and the reason why is because she hasn't been able to play this event that much. Over on the men's side of things, you've gone with Jannik Sinner for Wimbledon. Great pick. I think a few of you might have even considered picking him last year for Wimbledon. And obviously with his last 12 months, he's been so good on hard courts. And if he wasn't sick against Medvedev at Wimbledon last year, who knows what would have happened. But I've gone with something different. I'm going Novak Djokovic to win Wimbledon. Maybe I'm a little nostalgic. Maybe I'm a little optimistic. But I'm also wary that Sinner might be banned. So I'm kind of, I guess, making my pick on the fact that Sinner might not be around for Wimbledon if he does get a 6-month ban, which is possible. All right, so you went with Rybakina. Of course, Rybakina didn't do great at Wimbledon this year, which is a little bit disappointing, but maybe next year she can go on. I went Sabalenka, lost in the semifinals again, just can't get to the final of Wimbledon. Of course, Swiatek won Wimbledon for the ladies, which, again, a bit random. I don't think anyone would have picked her at the start of the year to win Wimbledon. And then Sinner and Djokovic. I went Djokovic, you went Sinner. Sinner won. I went Djokovic thinking maybe Sinner might not have been able to play. Of course, Sinner was banned for 3 months, but it was just before the French Open that he was able to come back and compete. So maybe had he not have had that ban looming over him, because we didn't know how long it was going to be 12 months ago, I would have picked Sinner as well. But I went Djokovic, and you went Sinner, and Djokovic made the semis still, so not too bad. And then the US Open, the final slam of the year for you guys. You picked Sabalenka to go back-to-back at the US Open. Obviously had a great run there in 2024 and won both the hardcourt slams, and you're going to say that she's going to do the same this year. But I've gone with Coco Gauff, and I reckon even though she was a little bit disappointing in the 2024 US Open, losing to Navarro, I reckon she'll get it back together. And the way she ended 2024, I feel like 2025, she's going to win a slam somewhere. Over on the men's side of things, at the US Open, you picked Sinner again. So Sinner 3 out of the 4 slams in 2025 is what you guys picked, the majority anyway of you guys picked. But again, I've gone with something different. I'm going to go with Zverev to pick up his first slam at the US Open. All right, so you got right with Sabalenka. She obviously won that. She was, in the semifinals of the final of every other slam, but she just couldn't get it done until the very last one. I went with Coco. I did say Coco would win a slam, but I didn't think it would be at the French Open, like I said. So I'm not too mad at my predictions, even though I didn't get any right. At least I'm picking players that made the semis or the final. There weren't any terrible predictions on the women's side. You guys obviously way better than me on the women's side. And then on the men's side, I went with Zverev. When's he going to win a slam? He's got to win one eventually, right? You've gone Sinner. He made the final. Of course, lost to Alcaraz in that final. So yeah, it was weird because it was a little bit predictable on the men's side. On the women's side, obviously we had 4 different champions, but not unfamiliar champions, right? We had Gauff, we had Sabalenka, we had Swiatek, all winning. Maybe not the slams that we had picked them to win, but they definitely were in the finals again. I don't think anyone would have picked Keys at the start of the year, but not bad. I mean, again, you guys smoked me with the predictions, but I'm still, besides this Zverev pick, I think that was probably my worst pick of the bunch. I can't complain too much. There it is. Those are the predictions for last year. Let's see what happens next year, though, because is it going to be a Sinker-as stranglehold like it was the last couple of seasons? Or are we going to get someone different on the men's side? On the women's side, feel like we're just starting to get into a period of time now where, you know, Anisimova, maybe Rybakina can win another slam. You know, where are some of the lower ranked players that sort of dropped out? What about someone like an Osaka? Can she go on and win another slam? Or are we going to get Swiatek and Sabalenka and Coco winning more slams? Or Pegula? I mean, it feels like it's a little bit more open on the women's side, and it's going to be interesting to see how many we get right next year, because I don't think it's as simple as just picking the same player for the, you know, for 3 out of the 4. I reckon it might be a little bit more all over the place. On the men's side of things, it's Sinkaraz, and then maybe you give Djokovic or somebody else a chance, but it's going to be very hard to see those guys losing. But there it is. Not great for the predictions for the slams, but you guys did better than me, so yeah, you can celebrate.